Welcome to the 2019 Cleveland AIA Design Awards. My name is Bo Bach. I am an architect and associate with Biolowski Cleveland, an adjunct professor at Kent State University, and one of this year's Design Award chairs, along with Kate Santos, Adam Mierix, and Steve Kordowski. This year's Design Awards is one of the highest attended design awards of recent history with 535 attendance. We have over 70 students attending tonight's event. We also have a record number of sponsors with 72 sponsors, so thank you sponsors for making this night possible. And we have received over 100 awards for this event. Tonight is a privilege and honor of mine to introduce our 2019 keynote speaker and jury chair, Larry Scarpa of Brooks Scarpa, a Los Angeles-based award-winning multidisciplinary practice that includes architecture, landscape architecture, planning, environmental design, material research, graphics, furniture, and interior design. In 2010, Brooks Scarpa was awarded the top honor for a practicing firm, the National AIA Firm of the Year, as well as receiving the same year the California AIA Firm of the Year. More recently, in 2014, the firm was honored with the Smithsonian Cooper Hewitt National Design Award. Ranked as one of the top 50 firms in the U.S. by Architect Magazine, the firm has also garnered international acclaim for their creative use of material in unique and unexpected ways. Their projects nearly cover the full range of building types, from repurposing a shipping container, to affordable housing, to educational and government work, to most recently being awarded the addition to the Manello Museum of American Art in my hometown, Orlando, Florida. Larry Scarpa has redefined the role of the architect to produce some of the most remarkable and exploratory works today. He does this not by escaping the restriction of practice, but by looking, questioning, and reworking the very process of design and building. Each project, for him, is an opportunity to rethink the way things normally get done, even the financing. His practice is modern, dealing with the issues that many practicing architects deal with today: environmental issues, sustainability, digital practice and technology, social and community impacts. The work is rooted in the everyday, yet intended to be seen in new ways. Mr. Scarpa currently teaches at the University of Southern California and has been a visiting professor at Harvard's GSD, the Fay Jones Visiting Professor at the University of Arkansas, the Eli Saarinen Visiting Professor at the University of Michigan, the Ivan Smith Eminent Visiting Professor at the University of Florida, just to name a few. His awards are vast. In 2004, the Architectural League of New York selected him as an emerging voice in architecture. Throughout the years, his work has received awards for innovation, collaboration, sustainability, and design, with most recently being awarded the 2017 AIA Los Angeles Chapter Gold Medal. As a University of Florida graduate, I'm very honored to welcome to the stage another fellow University of Florida alumni, Mr. Larry Scarpa, FAIA.
Standards, the safety standards is the same. It's the same.
One of Leo's personal passions is finding out ways to provide environmentally safe housing to low-income families. Take a look.
We're standing here at the first green affordable housing project in the country. This is Larry Scarpa, the architect.
You get the idea. That was around 2000. I was thinking about affordable housing and buildings and how we can be much more responsible as designers. I would look at things like this. This is a 44-unit affordable housing project. It was the first LEED certified project in the USA. And I basically begged my client to hire me. And I talked to them about these ideas of, people who live in affordable housing need this the most, and showed them these kind of pictures, of like this is just a car I saw on the street. They got like the little solar panels living out of their car right in the window. You know, this is a solar camel delivering refrigerated vaccines. You know, I even showed her this right by their office. They roll out the museum, the solar panel every day. You know, I have no idea what it does, but it's doing something. And my client said to me, you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't cost any more money. I thought that was a pretty fair deal. So we kind of designed this building. It's right downtown Santa Monica. It faces into the prevailing breeze. We call them alphabet buildings. They're not unlike buildings that were built around the turn of the century, where they're passively sustainable. You know, and I like to say, you know, anyone out there, you just tell me hate natural light. You can tell me if you hate it. Or cross ventilation, that really bothers you. You know, so we just do these simple things and you suddenly win. And these are very passive strategies that we take on, and then the active systems kind of meet a much lower demand. So this building produces almost 100% of its own energy, and we did this in 2000. You know, it looks like this. The solar panels, it wears on the building like a badge of honor. We won National AIA Award, Top 10 Green Building Award. As you saw the Oprah Winfrey show, it never stopped for us. And I thought we were doing what, you know, my mother would refer to as Jewish common sense. You know, I didn't really see it as anything that special other than doing the right thing. And you know, despite all the accolades we got for this building, I had a real sense of emptiness when it was finished. Like if you look, this is right downtown Santa Monica. We're talking Santa Monica Promenade, probably the most expensive real estate in the country. And look what we have on the ground floor. The most I could get my client to do was a community room. There's parking on the ground level right downtown. And, you know, I started to say to myself, is my building really any better than that? You know, it really wasn't a community contributor. It did a lot of good things, but, you know, buildings really should be part of the city that they coexist in, and they should be contributors. But what I found out is that, you know, my client's response, it was difficult for them. They couldn't finance it. You know, these buildings are funded. They wanted to do commercial, but they couldn't find a way to pay for it. They weren't allowed to do it by some of their bylaws, by how the tax credit system works. And I realized that, you know, at that point that we should do more. You know, it's not really just about design. So I gathered a handful of my friends, some architects, you might even recognize some people in those photographs, landscape bankers, planners, and we would meet at our office the first Saturday of every month and talk about these ideas and, you know, see if there were things we could do to change the built environment in a positive way. So we did all kinds of crazy things. We did studios at school. We came up with this plan for how to make more sustainable, livable communities. We even looked at the residential lots and densifying them, which we were told would be political suicide. And many of you know now today, you know, Minneapolis just did away with the single family zoning. You know, what we were really concerned about too as part of this is that there's so many people that work in hotels, teachers, firefighters, and especially in the Los Angeles area who can't afford to live in LA. The average 2-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles is $2,800 a month. That's the average. So, you know, what's happening is we're getting a massive disparity, and the families who were working would live sometimes 2 hours outside of LA, and they would drive to work 2 hours, work 10, 12-hour days, and then drive 2 hours back home. So they never saw their families. And, you know, it became a one-parent family, and, you know, the whole family structure would break down. So, you know, what we wanted to do was to try and look at ways in which we could help the working poor. And so after almost 2 years of meeting, we decided that we should really try to do something, you know, rather than meeting and talking about it. So we wrote some grants to different people, and we received almost $2 million in grants from a variety of people. So overnight, we became this nonprofit group called Livable Places. What we wanted to do as a group was not just do buildings and show how things could be done by example, but also to change policy so that it would work for everyone. Now, I'm, you know, kind of a guy, when I don't get my way, I try to find a way to get my way. How do you do that? You change the rules. And then I play by the rules that I help create. And that's partly what we did. So one of the first projects we did, we bought this building in just north of downtown Los Angeles in an area called Lincoln Heights, right across from the old jail. And this is an area that's been in decline in LA for a long time. This was a building built for Fuller Paints in 1923 as a storage building. We paid $3 million for this building. This took to get, we converted this into 105 units, mixed use, mixed income building. It took 29 variances and 3 years to get it approved. Okay, but today, all those same variances that we worked through are part of our zoning code. And before we put a shovel in the ground on this building, we were offered $8 million for the project. And, you know, our whole idea was that we weren't really going to profit for it. Our mission was to kind of revitalize communities. So we built this. So you can see by the transit station there, the new gold line that was going in, and we put the luxury units with downtown views on top. All the middle is affordable and live work on the ground. This kind of just gives you an idea of what happened. So when we did this, you know, every developer in town started buying the property around us. You know, if you're in real estate, you know, don't be the first, be the second. You know, we were the first. And so what happened is after we did that project, you can see our project in the foreground here, the whole neighborhood started to redevelop. And this project became kind of the seed for redeveloping the whole neighborhood. This was not too long ago now. The city is putting almost $1 billion to convert the old jail that has remained vacant for 50 years. And so the neighborhood now is revitalizing itself without us. We have kind of mixed emotions about it because our idea was to go in and change the community, but we got priced out of our own market. But I think it still worked. One of the downfalls of this is these units were all meant for low-income people. And, you know, they all went to low-income people, but we had no restrictions on them. So what's happened is now the building is even being gentrified. So this is 2 years ago, these units in here were selling for almost 500,000, and now there are some units in this building that go for north of $1 million. So, you know, what the other thing we were doing was we had a whole policy wing that at the same time we worked on policy issues, and we were very active in engaging the city of LA on many things, in fact showing them how their zoning codes didn't work. So when we built the Gold Line, the one you saw that went right by our project, this was the first project within a quarter of a mile of the Gold Line that was built. And so we told that to the city, and they said, that's not correct. And I said, well, that comes all from the information from your department. And they were like, really? And so they wanted to know why. So we started to tell them all the obstacles that were there, how long we went. We needed 29 variances to do our project. No developer's gonna do that. So when they would have proposed zoning amendments, they would send them to us for comment. So we got brave and we started to write our own. So we wrote this one, which is referred to now in LA as the small lot ordinance. And basically, this allows developers by right to kind of densify the smaller lots without going through the entitlement process. So it's brought back the kind of mom and pop developer back to LA like overnight. And it's caught fire. Like there's even now a website where you can track small lot development projects in the city of LA. So we've built tens and tens of thousands of units now under this ordinance. I'm just going to show you a couple. These are not my projects, but these are ones that were built, you know, under this ordinance. This one we're actually doing. So it's been massively kind of successful. And you know what, when people start to see it, then they start asking, you know, what is it? What's this small lot subdivision thing? And, you know, even we had HUD tracking our projects and under the small lot ordinance. But I always thought that policy, once you had policy, it was like permanent, you know, and I come to find out really it's maybe more fleeting than a building. So, you know, I'd go into the building department and all the things that we did, I'd even go with projects of my own under the small lot ordinance, and the people in zoning would tell me, that's not the intent of the ordinance. And I go, really? I wrote it. So, you know, what's happened then, it's become, in some ways, I guess controversial, because now the building department is kind of changing it and making it difficult and making things different than what the ordinance originally done. So, you know, inevitably what happens, things are changing. You know, it's still out. This is a very popular ordinance in LA, and we'll see what happens with it. All is not lost for us. Many of you guys know Arnold Schwarzenegger. We know him as the Governator. He doesn't get a lot of credit for many of the things he did in California, where he shepherded through. The big thing was Assembly Bill 32, and that was to make California like net zero by 2030. All buildings net zero by 2030. Everyone said, you can't do that. It's going to bankrupt the state. It's going to kill the economy. We were the 8th largest economy in the world at that time. California is now the 5th largest economy in the world, and we beat those goals. By next year's code in 2020, every building in California 3 stories or less will be net zero. We still have problems, and this isn't just our problem, but 1 in 7 people in the US live below the poverty line, and that shouldn't be in a country like the United States, the richest country in the world. And in LA, we have now over 60,000 people living on the street. So last year we had 55,000, and it's been growing at 6%. This year it grew by 12%. So we have like a crisis really of housing people, and it's not just people who live on the street, it's people like you and I that work to make a living. So, we really put ourselves in positions to do these buildings, and I'm showing you everything you're seeing here has won a national AIA, has been a top 10 green building award, and won many other awards, and they're all affordable housing projects. This one is for mentally disabled people. This is in downtown Santa Monica. It's 46 units on a 50 by 150 foot lot. If you do the math, that's 267 units per acre. That's higher than the average density of New York City. But what we always try to do is to find ways to kind of give design in a way that's also performative. The skin of this building, this is all water jet cut aluminum panels that shade the building, that provide some privacy in the urban area. We stacked them 10 deep and cut them, so we got a 10 for 1 price, and then we painted them different colors. And you could see, unlike the Colorado court, some of our policy work now allows us to do the mixed use with the affordable housing. That's our unit. It's 250 square feet. It's really small, but light filled, all, formaldehyde free, clean interiors. And here you can kind of just see the, you see the building on the street. A strategy that we always take on, this is a smaller project in West Hollywood, is we try to make all of our buildings, they're not just about the aesthetic, they're about performance. This is a LEED Platinum project as well. We worked with C.R. Lawrence to develop the skin of this building. So these are aluminum shutters that we developed with them. And once we kind of refined this down and got the cost to where we wanted it, we put them over the whole building. And it wasn't just to put them on the building, but this project has great views to the east and to the west, views of downtown, views to West Hollywood, panoramic views almost. And it's on a busy street, so the view direction is bad for thermal properties. If it's open, you want to have it for the view, but at the same time, most people don't like people looking in their windows while they're walking around in their underwear. So we made a building that basically could be controlled by the occupant. So if you wanted to be warmer, you can open. If you wanted to be, if you didn't care, if you saw people looking in your apartment, you can open it up. So in a sense, the building redesigns itself every day. And, our client said to us, when we were in the design stage, man, that aluminum skin looks like really expensive. And, we priced it, it was about $200,000. And, we went through the value engineering. All of you know that. It's a term I hate. So they took it off. And then our mechanical engineer said, oh, well, hang on a second. You don't have that protection on the windows. We have to change the windows to more high performance, and we need more AC in there. And then our structural said, oh, those are big units. We got to change our structure to accommodate that load. So in the end of the day, there was about a $40,000 difference. And then our client started to say to us, we're getting all that for only $40,000. So, we try to take this, use the performative part to win. You know, if it's only about aesthetics, you always lose. But if you prove that it can also be performative, it's always a winner. And you know, the same thing, you get these light-filled units with cross ventilation. We had some fun with the kitchens, the backsplash, you can see those. We made those all out of recycled skateboards. We cut them up into like little tiles and then mortared them in the walls. Another 20-unit project in Marina del Rey, the same concept. And you know, this is a one we finished recently for, this is for disabled vets. And this is the first project off of Skid Row for the Skid Row Housing Trust. And it has all the hallmarks of the other projects, you know, all the sustainable features on it. But, you know, what we try to do is make it a place for people. And so a lot of times in the housing, especially veterans and others suffer from schizophrenia and other problems. So what we try to always make is we make spaces for them. I like to equate it a little bit like going to a club. You know, like there's always someone who wants to be on the middle of the dance floor, and then others that want to be on leaning against the wall, but they're all participating in their own way. And so we generally make these spaces where you could be, you know, the person out there on your own or off to the side and kind of just looking in. This is a project now that we're just breaking ground on by my house in Venice. Now, what happens on these projects, this one is now a by right project, but it's taken us more than 2 years to get this in the ground because everyone comes out against it. And I was saying earlier, when I moved to Venice 30 years ago, I moved into the middle of the gang war, you know, where we had helicopters every night. We still have those helicopters, except they're now following Lindsay Lohan to court. So, you know, everyone comes out of the woodwork about affordable housing projects, but the same kind of principles, you know, that apply to it. And this is based on, you know, the courtyard. It's our interpretation of kind of the courtyard that exists all over in Southern California, except that it's raised up, you know, on the second floor, and there's commercial space below. This one is about done with construction. It's 64 units of mixed use, so it has both a mix of market rate and affordable housing. And again, a lot of people think that, you know, it's part of our problem, like the separation of people has kind of been part of making our world so divisive. And when you know, we have these visions of what people are when they don't agree with us or they're different, and it's not necessarily true. So we have many projects like this which are mixed use, mixed income, and you can't really tell the difference. You don't know who lives there or not. They're just like normal people. This is 74 units for Hollywood Community Housing in North Hollywood. Again, this will house mostly poor families, poor working families, and put them closer to transit and their jobs in the city. This project, we just this last week got our final approval to move forward from planning after over 3 years of going through the approval process. And this is the Southern California Flower Market that was owned by a bunch of Japanese Americans who bought this building in the 1930s because they were not allowed to sell their flowers anywhere else. So they formed a co-op, they bought this building, and 53 families growers, outside of LA would bring their fresh flowers here and sell them. Almost every one of those families were interned during the Second World War, but they were able to keep the building. So now there's the grandkids and the non-family member that got their share in a divorce, and the internet has even killed fresh flowers. So we're reducing the flower market, and we're doing now 353 units of mixed-use housing and retail on this site. So here you can see the tower, and the flower market is on the right-hand side, which is being renovated. We're tearing down the left-hand side and building a whole mixed-use complex that goes with it. So it's going to look something like this. And that's what you'll see going down the street. These are all the units with the balconies. And I'll talk a minute about kind of how we do that strategically. The paseo that cuts through the block. But what we try to do now as our work grows in scale, there's always the pressure of the budget, and we've gotten really good about budgets and how to kind of deliver, design excellence within a sometimes tougher and possible budgets. And so I show this project. This is another 500 units right across from the Staples and Convention Center in LA. It's your typical, what you might see as a double-loaded two-tower building. All the units stack. It's, very simple, but what we did was we take the strategy of kind of the balconies, or looking at how you can do small moves by just shaping the slab edge of the building to kind of react to, climate views, privacy, and other things, and to give kind of an interest to the building. So, it's essentially just a grid like you would see on any rational building, but how we manipulate that grid kind of gives you a resultant facade that looks, something like that, and a building is super simple, but really seems like it's quite complex. Not every project needs to be big to be good. We've done a number of projects like this. These are what they call modernization projects. So this is an existing hotel from the 1920s on Skid Row in downtown LA, 110 units. And it's simply, change the windows, do ADA access, bring it up to code. As our client described it to us, I don't know if you guys do these, but there's no design involved in these projects, So we say, yeah, of course we do those, but, we don't tell them, but we think there's design involved in them. So we do the modernization. This is the project. You can see these two, the one circled in the red, and then that really long site. These are service alleys and fire egress for it. This is the bigger space, the square one, what it looked like when we started, just filled with bikes and other garbage. And we said to our client, I think you don't have any public space for your tenants. I think with little resources we could, do something that your tenants might like. And they're like, okay, can you show us? So we gave them that in that tiny little space. And they use it, and again, like a lot of times we find is you can forget about your mission. Like, you hear people call real estate or homes a deal. I'm working on this deal. And they kind of forget that people live there. Here's the little skinny space. It's 8 by 60. That's what it looked like when we started. And this is what it looks like now. And all the tenants each get a plant, so they have like a little mini competition of whose plant's the best. You know, they take care of it. And it's kind of produced a sense of kind of community for them. And you know, I think this is where we really give our clients value, is when they think they're not going to get something and you give them something they had never imagined they would get. So that was the kitchen right off of that space before, and this is what it looks like now. So here's before and later. So I managed to remove myself or step down from the nonprofit I showed you earlier, only to get another night job. This is another nonprofit that I co-founded called the Affordable Housing Design Leadership Institute. And I had this idea to, you know, why can't affordable housing projects be good city buildings? You know, the mission's there, everything is there, but the design, you know, and it just puzzled me because everyone in there are good people and really mission driven. And what I found is they really don't know about design. And so I had this idea to try and elevate design in this market sector. So I wrote a grant to the National Endowment of the Arts. We got a big grant. And then I started shopping this idea around. And I talked to my friend Katie Swenson at Enterprise Community Partners, because I wasn't, I guess, willing to shoulder the burden again of another nonprofit. And she said to me, let me talk to my bosses, because they've been talking about something like this, and they might like this. And she got back to me and said, they love this. And I said, you can have it. And so this was going to be a one-time deal. We did the first one in Minneapolis in 2010, and we invited 8 nonprofit community development groups to come to Minneapolis for 3 days, and we assembled a team of architects, landscape architects, bankers, urban planners, and we paid for everything, and we helped them with their problems. They had to have a project in schematic design to bring to us to work with our resource team. And then during those 3 days, we did tours, we gave them lectures, and people that attended it went away with a whole new outlook on like what to do. And so we're now, what I thought was going to be a one-time event, we're in our 10th year doing it. And again, the first ones I pretty much organized, and now I just am in an advisory role with Enterprise, and they've taken it beyond what I ever imagined. And what I find super interesting is, like, some people, you know, have come to this that we've invited. So if any of you are developers or in the nonprofit world, you can apply and we'll pay for you to attend this. But we had one person, I won't mention names, a developer out of Brooklyn, New York, came with perhaps the worst project I had ever seen. And I was like, this guy has no hope. And we work with him, and he comes back now every year. He's not invited, but he comes every year. And so we've helped them. We've kind of changed our built environment through this, and these resources and the resource teams are available to these developers at any time. And part of what it was is, like, you know, it's very complicated to do, and it's getting more and more complicated to do housing projects in the public realm. And really 70% of all the decisions are made up front. And we come in, you know, this is how we think the project is. You know, it's the developer and the designer, and that's it. But it really looks like that. You know, so what we try to do is get the maximum bang out of it, you know, and so we've created these toolkits for the nonprofits where we talk about their mission and how the impact comes through design. So all of these workshops. I'm just showing you some examples. We have the toolkit. This is all free and online, so you can go to the Affordable Housing Design Leadership at Enterprise and you can download all this stuff for free. So what we really do is show people the benefits or how affordable housing projects really can benefit communities. Despite like a lot of these things, it keeps getting worse. So like again in LA, our homeless and affordability crisis is getting worse, not better. You know, you come and you see cranes everywhere and things are costing more money and the situation's getting a lot worse. So in a couple years ago, the voters in LA passed two bills, and we approved by a more than 70% margin almost $2 billion to go into a fund to help solve this crisis. And you know, it's a very complicated problem that there's no one answer, but as a result, you know, the county, LA County, they put out this challenge. It's called the Innovation Challenge. So they were offering, you know, $5 million to someone who could come up with a scalable, sustainable solution to deal with the homeless problem in LA. So I looked at it, I said, you know, that sounds like something we should be doing. And so we put together a team. We led a team in the process, and we came up with this idea of what we call the Nest Toolkit. It's really a kit for developers or designers or others to use. It's not really a design, but the idea is that these things could be made, and we kind of called it Nest because it was based on the nesting habits of birds and different birds and how they nest. And so we submitted this and we won. So our kind of idea was that in LA County there are 107 cities, and they all have different codes, different regulations, but 80% of the lot sizes in LA County are 50 by 150. So we designed our system to fit in that lot size, and we took all 107 codes and we distilled them down to with the setbacks, the heights and everything, and we came up with a strategy of what would fit in all of those. So by right, you could take our toolkit and it would work in any 50 by 150 foot lot in LA County. So, you know, without getting into a lot of detail, we have ways where they can be arranged for more dorm style living. We showed a whole series of configurations of how it would fit on the site, how the units would be made. And then the thing which for me was super important, we left enough room in there for designers to kind of make it their own. So it has 6 feet where you can actually design your own custom facades. You could move it to make a bigger courtyard. You have flexibility to kind of design the product. And so we showed possibilities. These were, as part of our submittal, just possibilities, not meant to be the design. And then we showed how this could fit on a whole array of different lots to do that. So as part of our submittal now, or part of the toolkit, Amazon invested about $7 million into this, and Plant Prefab now offers this as a product. So you can go online to the Plant Prefab site. You can see in the little corner there, it says configuration tool to come soon. That's coming, but that's basically going to be the portal where you can design your units, you can set them up, configure them for your site, and they'll spit this out. So our most affordable unit is going to be less than $70,000. This is the site we're working on right now as part of the challenge grant. It's smaller because we have limited funds. So this is in the church parking lot. So we found a church in Santa Monica, right by Santa Monica College, and it's another issue that's occurred. There are now a lot of college kids that are homeless, and they sleep in their cars around campus. So Mount Olive Church has a number of homeless kids that are living at the church. So we went to them and said, how about we provide housing for your students? And they loved the idea. They had a big parking lot. So we said we could do it in your parking lot. The problem is it's zoned R1, so you can only do a single house on the site and an ADU. So we're doing an 18-bedroom house with an ADU. So you can kind of see the modules here. They kind of stack up, and because it's so big, the negative space created becomes the living area and the dining areas and the kind of open space. So you can see it on the site. The pastor loves it. He calls it his little church. And that's what we're hoping it's going to kind of look like in the end. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage two of our Design Award chairs, Adam Yaricks from IKM Architecture and Kate Santos from Stantec.
All right, good evening and welcome to the 2019 Cleveland Design Awards. It is my pleasure to help kick off tonight's ceremony. Tonight's awards ceremony has established several new milestones. As you can see on the screens, we have had a record number of submissions, attendance, sponsorships, and public voting. Of course, that success doesn't just happen overnight. It takes nearly 10 months of planning and a small team of volunteers to pull off this effort. At this point in time, I would like to ask my fellow Design Awards committee members to please stand and be recognized for their efforts this year. Now, in addition to our volunteers, we also rely heavily on our design community partnerships and sponsors to support this event. With that said, tonight's valet and parking sponsor is Algebra AEC. Will Algebra AEC please stand to be recognized for your support and generosity? Next up, we have our red carpet sponsors back for yet another year, and they are Hayworth and RCF Group. Will representatives from Hayworth and RCF Group please stand to be recognized? So now, I would like to ask AIA Cleveland President Christopher Toddy to join us on stage to help present our first awards of the evening, the People's Choice. These awards were voted on by the general public through AIA Cleveland's social media accounts. I ask that whenever your firm or group wins an award this evening and you see your name on screen, to please make your way on stage to receive your award. And here we go. The People's Choice Award for the Makers category goes to Bylowski Cleveland for Light Tornado.
The Light Tornado is the crown jewel of Tri-C Metro Campus Center. Like a lighthouse, the soaring stainless steel sculpture floats with a glow that can be seen blocks away. The collaboration between architect and fabricator ensured the original design intent was upheld, making the Light Tornado a true community beacon.
Next up, the People's Choice Award for the unbuilt category goes to AODK Inc. for modular living pods. The People's Choice Award for the small projects category goes to Dimmitt Architects for Mitchell's Homemade Ice Cream.
And the People's Choice Award for the Interiors category goes to AODK for the Crow Residence. Congratulations. And the People's Choice Award for the Architecture category goes to Bialowski Cleveland for the Metro Campus Center at the Cuyahoga County College. And next, we'd like to acknowledge the Platinum sponsors and the firm-sponsored tables. Right here in the front, you'll see they have a little name tag on their tables. We'll go through the list: AODK Inc., APG Engineered Solutions, and APG Office Furnishings, Barber and Hoffman Incorporated, Bowen, DRL Group and Westlake Reed Laskowski, Donnelly's, Gunton, Pella, Willa, and Dorr, Hasenstopp Architects, HSB Architects and Engineers, Inspire Workplace Interiors, Perspectus Architecture, Rycon Construction, Stantec Architecture, Turner Construction, and Vocon, who purchased 2 tables this year. Thank you all for sponsoring. Next, we'd kind of like to go to a slide to remember some of those we've lost this year. As many have experienced, the A&E community and the industry is a tight-knit community, full of talented individuals that we respect and look up to, many of which we've built strong relationships with. As we view the screen next to me, please join me as we take a moment of silence to honor of those who we lost this year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to introduce this evening's Maker's Jury Chair, Jonathan Kurtz from J. Kurtz Architects.
Thanks. Is this good? Yeah. We were honored to take part in the Makers category. I think the potential that this category has for the architecture in Northeast Ohio is pretty profound, and we just saw a lecture that had probably 5 or 6 elements that could be submitted for this category. So I hope everyone moving forward continues to think of this category as a kind of place to draw on and receive approbation for the kind of customized parts of your projects. The jury, first I conscripted my colleagues in the office, Anna Ackland and Chris Deal, very talented architects and educators as well. And then we decided to get somebody foreign and pulled Matt Hutchinson out of San Francisco. He has a practice where he focuses on the intersection of design and fabrication out of San Francisco and teaches at the CCA. So I was asked to just talk a little bit about the category. When we were first coming up, Matt and I, we worked at an office that had the great opportunity to not only do quality architecture, but do work where we were able to take components, stairs, or different things and really customize them. And I think that's in the spirit of this category, is finding within the architecture the kind of resonant meaning in the pieces that make it up and the kind of human quality and tactility in that. So I was also reminded that my colleagues on either coast use our fabricators to do their work. So I've had friends from New York who have Talmadge Spinning fabricate components for a stair or a door in order to, because having it made here and shipping it out is cheaper than doing it in New York. So I think I would just say, you know, we have incredible fabricators and resources here, and so I think we can all kind of draw on them to customize our pieces. Our criteria, in addition to just the basic criteria that you see in the memo, was really focused on an evidence of the reciprocity between the designer and the fabricator, a feedback loop relative to the material and the craft that was deployed, and then whether or not there was experimentation at play, and or kind of deploying common materials in non-normative ways. So those were things that in our discussions really stuck out. The first honorable mention goes to Bioloski Cleveland for Light Tornado.
The Light Tornado is the crown jewel of the Tri-C Metro Campus Center. Like a lighthouse, the soaring stainless steel sculpture floats with a glow that can be seen blocks away. The collaboration between architect and fabricator ensured the original design intent was upheld, making the Light Tornado a true community beacon.
So some of the jury comments were, we thought it was really commendable that a building project of this scale and context finds the opportunity to move beyond kind of simple catalog specifications and instead customize a key architectural component to the project. We really appreciated in the submission the inclusion of fabrication and process imagery. And we thought that the submission showed clear evidence of the relationship and feedback loop between the architecture, the design process, and the fabricators. So congratulations. The second honorable mention goes to Tower East Lobby Desk and Benches with Steve Kordalski Architects.
This new desk in a 1965 Walter Gropius design mid-rise replaced the lobby desk directory that had been added in the 1980s. The desk was designed to be lighter in scale while complementing building elements. It relates to the module of precast panels and brass strips within the terrazzo flooring. The thickness of the desktop and waterfall panels mimic that of the original Gropius stair handrails. The black solid surface material relates to the color of the original lobby wall tiles. The walnut glued-up privacy panels are the same construction as the original handrails. Benches using similar vocabulary were added.
So here the jury really appreciated the care with which these pieces responded to and created a dialogue with the original material palette and proportions of the building. There was a really thoughtful execution with respect to the material, the assembly, the scale, particularly the rhythm of the precast panels down to the terrazzo joints. And again, the inclusion of drawings and process models show kind of evidence of this component of the building taking kind of an exceptional quality within the architecture. Thank you.
Now let's welcome Design Awards co-chair Steve Kordalski from Kordalski Architects and AIA Ohio Secretary and Design Awards Committee member Aaron Hill from Bioloski Cleveland.
One of the roles of AIA Cleveland is to advocate for the community of local architects and designers. The Client Commitment to Cleveland Award is intended to recognize clients within the Cleveland community who consistently seek to support both design excellence and the local design community, understanding that it is possible to strengthen them both together. We are thrilled to name the Cuyahoga County Public Library as our honoree of the 2019 Client Commitment to Cleveland Award. As a system of 27 branches serving 47 communities, the Cuyahoga County Public Library is committed to their mission of being at the center of community life by creating the environment where reading, lifelong learning, and civic engagement thrive. The system is ranked #1 in per capita visits nationwide for 9 years among public library systems. Everything the CCPL does is in support of improving the quality of life in Cuyahoga County. In order to help execute this mission, they have turned to the local design community. Over the past 9 years, CCPL's $122 million master plan has resulted in local architects leading 11 new libraries and the renovations of an additional 18. The new buildings completed so far represent one of the most significant investments in work by local architects made by any public entity in Northeast Ohio over the past decade. CCPL hired local as a way to make sure the fees would stay within the local community. Working with designers, CCPL imposed consistent design factors in response to public feedback and a desire to set uniform high standards. These libraries represent a series of spirited and delightful variations on a theme, accented with widely varying architectural styles, public art, and specialized local features. For outstanding commitment to the pursuit of design excellence and the Cleveland design community, as demonstrated consistently over time, AIA Cleveland is proud to recognize the Cuyahoga County Public Library recipient of the Client Commitment to Cleveland Award. So we're honored this evening to be joined by Executive Director Tracy Strobel, along with her fellow leadership and members of the Board of Trustees. Please help me in congratulating them for their commitment to our community.
It's now my opportunity to acknowledge the rest of these sponsors beyond the ones that Adam already has introduced. What we're going to do is present the remaining sponsors on the screens. However, when your logo or name come up, feel free to yell out your company name. You deserve it. The simple fact that working without the sponsors' generosity, this event would not be possible. Ticket cost doesn't cover the drink tickets and the food. The quantity of sponsors also verifies the interest and importance of celebrating quality local design within Cleveland. Without any further delay, let's roll through the sponsors. Now remember, we're trying something different, so there's audience participation here. And if not, I'm going to read all 56. So I'll announce the level of the sponsor, and then I want anybody up there, it's a free-for-all. You can just yell it out. So the first sponsor level is gold sponsors. There you go. There you go. Come on, somebody else. Or we're going to be here all night. There you go. Okay, let's go to silver drink sponsors. Okay. Bronze. Go. We're going to get better at this next year. Contributing. And then the after party sponsors. There you go. You know, most importantly though, I would like to thank all the 72 sponsors. So thank you from AIA Cleveland. At the same time, I'd like to remind my colleagues to give the sponsors a chance at an opportunity for some new business. At this point, I would really like to have a round of applause for the 72 sponsors. Okay, my last assignment for me here is to acknowledge the newly registered architects whose names you see on the screens. I'm not sure whether, well, I guess you guys made the decision, but I was going to say I'm not sure whether to issue congratulations or condolences. Seriously, becoming a registered architect is no small task or easy journey. So at this time, I'd like to have any of them, of the newly licensed architects that are in attendance, stand up and be recognized. I'd like to express for AIA, AIA Cleveland, our congratulations and say welcome to the club.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our Architectural Photography Jury Chair, Catherine Strand, Associate Professor from Kent State University College of Architecture and Environmental Design.
Thank you. Hello. I'm really honored and excited to be chairing this jury for the second year for the second annual issuance of this award category. This award seeks a diverse range of submissions, professional, amateur photographers, AIA members, non-members, students, with the Cleveland or greater Cleveland area as a subject. While submissions must have an architectural theme or contain some element of the man-made environment, the photographic interpretation of the subject matter, not the architecture, is the issue. Our jury represented a diverse set of perspectives in and around architecture, design, and fine arts, and I really enjoyed the thought-provoking back and forth of the review process. Contributors to the jury were Associate Professor of Architecture at Kent State, John Yoder. John Yoder is a designer and scholar of modern architecture and visual media. Shidlowski, Emerging Faculty Fellow in Architecture at Kent State, Zara Safaverdi, who is an architecture practitioner and educator whose work explores the effects of the pictorial realm and imagery at large on architecture. Artist Scott Olson, whose paintings have been the subject matter of solo exhibitions in New York, Los Angeles, Berlin, and Stockholm. His work has also been included or is included in permanent collections of institutions, including the Hammer Museum of Los Angeles and also the Cleveland Museum of Art. Beyond AIA Cleveland's really kind of succinct set of criteria, the jury naturally and collectively gravitated towards several additional criteria. The first is we were interested in architecture of photography over photography of architecture. Though all submissions needed to have an architectural theme, the jury was drawn to photographs that used technique and construction to contribute to the reframing of what architecture is or could be. A clear intentionality of composition, siting, and features, of course, but also an allowance for the incidental, casual, and observational. And then finally, we were interested in the titles. We wanted a good title. There was lots of conversation around what makes a good title, but generally speaking, we were interested in titles that considered on their own present a deeper narrative idea over something more kind of kitschy, clever, or obvious in labeling. Before I go ahead and announce the 3 top awards, I'd like to acknowledge the honorable mentions to the following photographers. The Site-Specific Sculptural Effects of Blue Monday by Christina Bach. The Clever and Coincidental Reflections of Planetarium in Planet by Michael Murdo. The Optical Flatness and Abstraction of Tinkham Veal by by Michael Pauks. And The Careful Construction of Lumen by Dave Robar. So our top 3 awards go to photographs that, though addressing one or more of the criteria outlined by the jury, distinguish themselves as singularities, objects for interfacing with or remaking the world they represent above the din of commercial and social media image making. Our 3rd place award goes to F04 by Eric Prose, AIA. The photograph is elegant with a restrained, barely there quality for the inherently industrial subject. In this way, the jurors called it a kind of Becker reportage, but also noted that the work brought to mind the painterly photographic effects of Gerhard Richter and filmic flicker of oscillation that connects the image of Eisenstein's iconic footage of the Odessa steps. The foreground stair is a membrane, or the foreground of the stair membrane is advances and recedes in relationship to pattern of shadow and streaks of color. A carefully controlled palette of muted oranges and pinks play against and give shape to the underlying curvilinear structure of the industrial form. The runner-up award goes to Coast Guard by Paul Koss. The jury noted that the style of both the architectural subject matter and the photograph itself are streamlined modern. The aerodynamics of the curved building form is simultaneously a dock and looks docked. There is a dual character achieved through careful editing out. The subverted skyline, for instance, while at the same time implying that other elements might have been added in. The whole image has a sort of surreal clip art pasted effect, though jurors noted that they knew that all the included elements were real. The sky has a rich, almost painterly quality in stark contrast to the glassy black water. The clear technical skill involved in producing the image's striking atmospheric quality made Coast Guard an immediate frontrunner. And the grand prize award goes to Graduation by Peter R. Bowen, AIA. The photograph captures a truly iconic Cleveland space and somehow makes it even better. The majesty of the space really comes through. Clearly, a lot of technical skill went into capturing this shot. Its composition and balance play with the dramatic low light levels and related manipulation of shutter speed, all demonstrating a degree of control and intentionality that is present in the final image. But there's also an immediate and observational nuance to the textures and details. The image is both sublimely spectacular and also coincidentally real. A jury commented on the almost etched or pressed tactility, which is image-oriented over space-oriented through a mixing of foreground and background detail. While the depicted scene is organized through the reality of the proscenium with ornamental surfaces extending into the perspectival depths of stage, the photograph renders these textures as infinite and finally, as one of the jurors so concisely summarized, just wow. Congratulations to all of the winners.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to this evening's keynote speaker and Design Awards Jury Chair, Lauren Scarpa, FAIA from Brooks and Scarpa.
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm from Los Angeles, and we oscillate with New York as the biggest chapter, AIA chapter in the United States. We have over 6,000 members in our chapter, and our annual event is the biggest fundraiser event for the LA chapter. And I gotta say, are the videos off? You guys are kicking some ass. It's pretty amazing, you know, the turnout and what you're doing here tonight. Also, you know, I've been to a lot of places, and I have to just thank you. The hospitality that you've shown has been just, I can't imagine anything better. I felt at home here in my short time. I've got to come back more. Well, down to business now. So this year, I've done a lot of juries around the country, and when I was asked, I said, I want to try something different. So normally you would assemble a LA jury and we would all meet in LA. So I thought, what if we just got a jury from around the country and we did this, digitally, electronically, and we got really interesting people from around the country. So I invited people I know. So we went from California to Florida to Mississippi and Missouri. So Renee Gonzalez, who I've known for 30 years, first as a student, does fantastic work. If you don't know his work, you should look it up. He did the shops in the Herzog parking garage in Miami, and he does these beautiful projects. David Dowell from El Dorado, again, another fantastic architect, and Anne-Marie Decker from Jackson, Mississippi, fantastic architect. So we kind of got together, and it didn't work as easy as I planned. Getting 4 people together in a timely manner proved to be a little bit of a challenge, but we kind of made it work. What I do want to tell you a little bit about, and I'm going to take an extra moment here, is about how award submissions work, because they always seem to be a bit of a mystery to those who enter. And I want to tell you a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes. So, while there are many common things that make up good designs, there are also a lot of subjective things that happen. And I remember when I submitted for my first award, I didn't win, and I stopped submitting. And, a period of 5 or 6 or 7 years went, and then I said, let me try again, and I had a whole portfolio of work that I submitted, and I won like 7 awards one year at AIA LA. And Tom Main, who I didn't know at the time, came up to me. He's like, who are you? Where did you come from? I said, well, I've been here, and I said, why haven't you put your work out? And I told him, I said, well, I really hate losing more than I like winning, so I never submit awards. And he said, are you kidding me? He says, you just submit until they relent, and there's a certain truth to that, because juries have certain things that, projects don't rise. Like the first project that I entered that didn't win, the following year won a national AIA award. So for all of you that don't win awards tonight, don't think of it as being a loser. You just keep submitting, because juries change, and it doesn't really mean that your work is bad. It just is a reflection of interests or things that the juries have. So you should just really keep submitting, and eventually the good work comes out. The categories, there were 80 projects submitted, which is really an amazing amount of entries, far more than I was thinking would happen, and they were in 5 categories. So we had students, unbuilt, small projects, interiors, and architecture. So the first category we're going to talk about tonight is the student work. And the submissions came from 4 graduate studios at Kent State University. And out of the 47 projects considered, there were 10 finalists, of which you can see the names of the students on the screen here. Are there any of the students here tonight? Can you please come up to the stage at this time? While we had 10 finalists that are all being recognized here tonight, there was one of the projects that the jury felt was really exemplary. that we're going to recognize tonight, and we're going to recognize that as a merit award. So in the student category, a merit award goes to Justin Crassi for Cleveland Boolean Collective.
Joe?
The design explores a formal and urban planning strategy for housing within the new Red Line Greenway project between Ohio City and Duck Island. The proposed site layout seeks to intertwine the housing and trail as a porous, punctured, and shared public-private landscape in order to maximize connectivity and access. Nearby houses were digitally modeled and then manipulated through a Boolean operation that generated new contextually based forms that evoke curiosity and exploration.
So we really like this project because it took, it was really exploratory. It felt like a tool that was discovered, that was really explored in great depth. It took a historic building and looked at it in interesting, new, and exciting new ways. It had an exuberance that really felt good, it felt natural, and kind of was free and unencumbered, and it really stood out even in its presentation. So for those reasons, we really felt like celebrating that project. Congratulations. So moving on, in the unbuilt category, an honorable mention goes to DLR Group, Westlake Reed Liskowski for Fujarian Fine Arts Academy.
The aspirational design of the new Fujairah Fine Arts Academy in the United Arab Emirates blends 80,000 square feet of performance and academic spaces, 120,000 square feet of mixed use, and 40,000 square feet of future expansion to cultivate learning and creativity, allow immersion in arts, enable mastery and cross-disciplinary collaboration, and impart a multi-generational impact on the community. The design intends to establish a new and significant legacy, addressing the transparency and optimism of the arts. Articulation of the architecture amalgamates surrounding foothills and unique geology, long cultural history of making in ceramics, and Islamic influences such as hypostyles, arcades, vaulting, and mosaics.
Yeah, the jury really liked this project. It was a big, complex program that was unified by this simple idea of a roof that provided, protection, shade, light. Sam Mockbee used to always describe to me, the barn as the protecting the goods inside, and it kind of had an element of that just felt really good. Congratulations. In the unbuilt projects category, an honorable mention goes to LDA Architects with Mass Design Group for Martin Luther King Jr. Library.
Dr. King wrote in his letter from Birmingham jail, "All of life is interrelated. We're all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." The design used the metaphor of the garment, a fabric that binds us together, a covering that warms us and protects us, and a quilt that weaves a community narrative through storytelling.
Yeah, the jury really liked this for a number of reasons. One, it's construction type. The second was it basically brought up the project to the street, so the library felt like it really became part of the streetscape and kind of the inventive way that the stained glass also presented itself on the street. Its scale was really nice, and there were many things that the jury felt really good about. Congratulations. The next project is in the small projects category. A merit award goes to AODK for the Viskoski O'Grady residence.
This 3,500 square foot suburban home, designed for a passionate graphic design couple, was meant to capture both their affinity for Cape Cod style architecture and modern design, along with their love for visual aesthetics and composition. In order to complement the scale of the neighboring properties, a plan was developed to split the overall volume of the home into two similar traditional New England-style salt box structures. Between each form, the kinetic motion of moving from public to private space is displayed by a modern glass prism containing a floating stair with a slatted wood screen wall.
Yeah, this was a project that proved that it doesn't have to be big to be good. And the jury felt really good. It fit in the neighborhood. It kind of adapted a vernacular form, but was looked at in kind of a refreshing new way. And in particular, they really liked how the massing was broken down and how it kind of sat on the site. Congratulations. The next project is in the interiors category, and a merit award goes to Vocon for the Vocon headquarters.
The vision for Vocon's redesigned headquarters was to create a welcoming, activity-based work environment that offers flexible options for employees and guests to work successfully, either independently or in groups. The 28,000 square foot headquarters occupies 2 floors with a working reception, lounge area, large cafe spaces, virtual reality room, and a variety of inspiring spaces to support collaboration, teamwork, creative thinking, individually focused work, and the firm's vibrant workplace culture.
In every awards jury, there are some projects that just come right to the top. This was one of them, and it reminded us of things like the Bradbury building, where you go in and you feel really good about it. It's materially rich, and then you look and there's like 40 different materials. It makes no sense that they go together, but they feel good and they work together. And this project was like that. Every room was rich, it was different, but it all seemed to come together in a really peaceful way. Congratulations. Okay, where'd they go? Another interiors category, a merit award goes to Vocon for floor 24.
300 Madison is the current headquarters to this professional service firm's largest office in North America. With a growing and evolving practice, the firm needed to explore new business opportunities. As a result, Floor 24 creates a reception, conference center, experience center, and cafe that creates a variety of spaces for client engagement.
This was a bit unlike the previous project. They fooled us. It was materially rich, but it was kind of simple in form. You know, the spaces flowed together. It had a bit of the same feeling where every space felt good, but it had also a bit of a minimalist quality that the jury just felt real good about being there. Congratulations. Okay, we're moving to the architecture category. The first one is a merit award, and it goes to the DLR group, Westlake Reed Laskowski, for the Massillon Museum expansion and renovations. Massillon.
The newly expanded and renovated Massillon Museum in Massillon, Ohio, provides new opportunities for patrons and staff, as well as new modern vitality to a community institution. An addition provides a new home for the Paul Brown and Massillon Tiger Football Gallery and Archive, office spaces, a flexible community event space, and additional classroom spaces. Renovations of existing museum buildings allowed for the creation of gallery space for regional artists, general gallery space, ceramic studios, and support spaces.
So, the Massillon Museum, got it right now. This was another one that was pretty unanimous amongst the jury members. It's obviously an addition to a historic building, and the way that the architects kind of seamlessly attached it in scale, kind of even materiality, felt really that it belonged. It felt like it was one and the same, but it was really quite different. So it had its own language that was really speaking to the existing building. And for that, we really, really, really liked the building. Congratulations. In the architecture category, a merit award goes to Bialowski Cleveland for the Cuyahoga Community College Metro Campus Center.
Once an impermeable fortress set in a sunken court, Campus Center was the most disengaged building on the urban campus. Discarding a brutalist identity, it becomes the central heart of the campus and community and brings truth to the name Campus Center. The design strategy? To connect and activate. Shedding its heavy masonry skin, the building form is softened, transparent, organic. Like a chameleon, the skin assumes and reflects its surroundings. For instance, buildings, clouds, dusk, and flora. It's nearly impossible to witness the building exterior the same way twice. It is a beacon and welcomes all.
Yeah, this was a project all the jurors responded very well to. Then we were looking at it and going, hey, wait, this is a remodel, And so for us, it was a really great surprise that, a building that really seemed to have little character before could be transformed so beautifully. And, as we kept looking, it was rich both inside and out. And it was one of those projects, the more you looked at it, the better it got. Congratulations. In the architecture category, the merit award goes to HBM Architects for the Kings Road Branch Library.
The new King Road Branch Library is a unique interpretation of a modern library. The materials collection is housed in a connected wing, allowing the monumental main space to feature new and popular materials in a bright display of merchandising and open reading and meeting areas. Reflected in both plan and elevation, large expanses of glass and white metal panels have been articulated to mimic the motion of flipping through the pages of a book. The interior of the building has tonal and textural variations similar to a natural landscape, evoking imagery like pebbles near a creek and bark on a tree.
This was another project the jury really liked because it had a kind of richness in its simplicity. A roof and fins is really what stuck in our mind, but it was a beautiful reading room, and how the fins directed light into that space was really appealing to us. Congratulations. In the architecture category, an honor award goes to DLR Group Westlake Reed Laskowski for the Eric Baker Nord Performing Arts Annex at Oberlin College. Okay, we made a little mistake. It's the right firm, so come on up. But it's for the Cleveland Public Library Facilities Master Plan.
Reflecting on its 150-year history, Cleveland Public Library sought to develop a facilities master plan to chart the bright future ahead. Presented as a graphically rich 400-page book, this foundational master plan sets new design principles, explores case studies of specific branches, compounds local and global statistics, illustrates aspirational branch designs, and inspires a holistic vision for the library's future. The plan is organized around a deliberately planned network of branch types, small, medium, large, and extra large, and thoroughly considered the best option for each individual branch: renovation, expansion, consolidation, or relocation. Design principles were authored as a guidepost to reimagining all 27 branches across a spectrum of socioeconomic neighborhoods. Reorganize, rebalance, reconfigure, remove, reveal, and retain.
Master plans are always hard to judge because they're big, they're encompassing, and you kind of have to focus on some elements of it that stand out to you. And I think what really stuck with the jury here is, not so much it was an attitude about what the spaces should be like, how they should be planned. So in a way, it became kind of a guiding principles document for what the library should be. And we felt really strongly about that, and the way in which they were shown in the presentation really showed exemplary design, and for that we gave the project an award. Congratulations. In the honor award, it goes to DLR Group, Westlake Reed, Liskowski for the Eric Baker Nord Performing Arts Center Annex at Oberlin College. How'd we do? We got it right.
The Eric Baker Nord Performing Arts Annex, a new 300-seat adaptable theater addition to the 550-seat Harrison Abramovitz designed 1953 Hall Auditorium in Oberlin, Ohio, provides new performance opportunities for faculty and students while complementing the landmark structure and establishing continuity between new and old venues. The annex is set back from the street facade of the Hall Auditorium, inviting the landscape to penetrate deeper into the block. This setback maintains the prominence of Hall Auditorium on the square and reinforces the rhythm of building and landscape zones established in the original master plan by Cass Gilbert.
Yeah, this was another one that quickly rose to the top with the jury. It just showed what so much you could do with so little. Like, we really loved the curve and the twist in it and how you entered it. And, like most good buildings, the more you looked at this, the better it got, spatially, materiality-wise, and a whole host of things really resonated with us. And for that, we gave it an honor award. Congratulations. Okay, another honor award goes to Boswich Design Partnership for the Toledo-Lucas County Public Library Mott Branch.
The Mott Branch Library, located in Toledo's Smith Park, is a 21st century library and community gathering space defined by a bold, undulating roof shaped by two influences. The branch namesakes Anna Mott, daughter of Toledo abolitionists, inspired geometries found in underground railroad quilts. The park site deserved a design that enhanced and respected the landscape and adjacent grove of trees. The quilt and tree canopy references combined to form a signature identity, revitalizing the Mott namesake and honoring the park setting. The design helps redefine the community's identity, literally and metaphorically, supporting the community's journey toward a better future.
Yeah, the jury loved this one. At first we thought, is this a pavilion? Again, the roof just kind of hovered over the building, kind of capturing the space. It was kind of grand, but also simple, you know, and it felt kind of, it was a really compelling design that was there and kind of not there. And so we talked about this one a lot. This one became a project that was a subject of a lot of our conversation, and how, you know, something as simple as kind of a roof plane could really be beautiful for a building. Congratulations. The last award in the architecture category is an honor award, and it goes to the DLR Group, Westlake Reed Liskowski, for the University Arts Building at the University of Nevada, Reno.
The new energy-efficient 42,500 square foot art building emerges as the epicenter for the School of the Arts, opening the way for enhanced musical and visual arts. The three-story facility features a 287-seat recital hall, museum, fabrication lab, electroacoustic composition lab, soundproof rehearsal spaces, music practice rooms, faculty office spaces, and a recording studio. Combining these spaces into a single building creates opportunities for learning, collaboration, and partnerships. Upon entering the University Arts Building, visitors are greeted by a multi-tiered lobby connecting to the plaza, street, and bridge levels, and serving as a hub and showcase for performance, display, and learning.
Yeah, this was another project that the jury felt was quite beautiful, and it was another one that was materially rich, you know, way the materials came together, the forms. It was unusual, but really compelling. And, you know, it wasn't just about what the materials or the building were, but spatially it was also quite beautiful. So this one was really like a complete project from inside to out. And for that, we gave it an honor award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you to you and your jury for its fabulous work in reviewing the outstanding submissions, our highest number of submissions to date, all of which are celebrated in the wonderful monograph that's on your table. Thank you for your discernment, your comments, your choices of highlighting our highest chapter design award. Let's have a round of applause, not just for the winners, but for all of you who helped to create the projects entered in this year's design competition. It is through the design awards submission process that we improve our presentations, that we learn how best to put our best foot forward locally and professionally to our clients and our potential clients. Through this process, all of us elevate the presentation of our work. And for that reason, it's not just a competition, but it's a celebration as we improve together. Thank you, wonderful clients and product supplier partners, for helping us to orchestrate these beautiful projects. Greater Cleveland has an exceptional, talented region for its design teams. There are the examples we just discussed, and I am pleased to announce that Cleveland Architects won 4 out of the 8 AIA Ohio Design Awards earlier this year. We have a strong design community and much to celebrate today. Good evening to all. My name is Chris Toddy, and as this year's AIA Cleveland Chapter President, I am honored to share a few more awards highlighting the exceptional people and exceptional work within our professional design community. Each year we celebrate an exceptional young member, either an associate member or a member registered less than 10 years, with an Emerging Architect Award. A number of excellent candidates were nominated. This year's award winner recently showcased his design for a community open-air market on Kinsman Avenue, the Box Spot. We are looking forward to his growth as a local professional. This year we honor future leader Adam Rose Kelly, AIA. Thank you. Similarly, young member professionals who excel at promoting the profession are nominated each year for AIA Cleveland's Professional Young Architects Advocate Award. Again, a number of excellent candidates were nominated, each excelling at an element of community advocacy for her local promotion of the profession, and especially its women. And as a national speaker at the AIA National Women's Leadership Summit last month, I am honored to present the Professional Young Advocate Award to Haley Crouch, Associate AIA. As a local chapter of Professional Architects, we work to support professional excellence and influence. AIA Cleveland continues to support local architectural students in awards and a scholarship. This year, second year, Kent State University AIAS student Lucas Denmead received the AIA Cleveland Student Scholarship. Besides architects advocating within the community to support the betterment of local projects with their local expertise, I specifically want to acknowledge two of our current community outreach initiatives. First, the initial steps of an art competition within the Shaker Heights School District to help raise student awareness of their built environment, being led by Dan Bickerstaff, AIA. Thank you, Dan. As well as our very popular Sandfest in August, led by Wayne Mortensen, AIA, which is seen by thousands and which also raises money for the ACE Mentorship Scholarships. Thank you, Wayne. This year, through Sandfest and our joint golf outing, we raised $7,800 for college scholarships. Please continue to support these efforts with your participation and sponsorship. Another initiative to highlight is our Cleveland Connect AIA Mentorship Program. I thank all of you who have donated your time to mentor our next generation. It is important that we connect with our young talent and help to direct their professional growth. Thank you. Our board is a group of exceptional volunteers who share their time, talent, and resources to better our specific design community and the profession as a whole. They create partnerships with allied professional organizations, product representatives, politicians, and community stakeholders. They create initiatives to call upon the whole chapter for support. When you get this call, please support these initiatives. Please help me in acknowledging the whole board for its hard work and successes this year. There are a few board members who have served their tenure and will be rolling off the board at the end of the year, but they are not going away. They have proven themselves as leaders. They will continue to champion the conversations that they helped to create over the last 2 or 3 years, and I trust that they will contribute to the profession. I thank Alan Renzi, AIA immediate past president, my predecessor. Thank you, Alan. Robin Wolf, AIA, Director of Women in Architecture, and I'll come back to Robin in a minute. Sam D'Aquila, Director of Professional Development. Thank you, Sam. Jack Bialowski, FAIA, Chapter Advisor. Jack, thank you for your mentorship, your friendship, and supportive advice all year. And Adam Yerix, AIA, Director of Communications. Adam Yerix has been instrumental in instigating the leadership of young architects in our chapter, forwarding the celebration of design as a co-chair of this design awards for many years, and forwarding the camaraderie around the local design profession by leading the annual design cruise, and forwarding the level of and professionalism tirelessly with our expanded website and weekly newsletter. Adam was honored last year with a President's Citation, but I will add to this acknowledgement of Adam by sharing with you Adam's recognition this year with a National Young Architects Award at the AIA National Convention last summer. Congratulations and thank you, Adam. I would also like to acknowledge three local members who won prestigious statewide awards. Robert Maschke, FAIA, who won the state's individual gold medal. Steve Kordowski, great. Steve Kordowski, AIA, won the state's Mentor Award. And Dave Robar, AIA, won the state's Community Service Award. Thank you for all your contributions to the profession and the community. Now it's time, it's my pleasure to present two President's citations. First, this talented woman is an up-and-coming leader of our chapter. As a chapter, we advocate for equity and diversity within the profession. This includes creating professional environments in which all members can excel. This year, this leader chaired our anti-harassment task force, which was tasked to explore related issues and to create a policy that supported safety and equity. She managed this conversation with rare talent, sensitivity, and respect for all involved. Also, we at AIA were approached by the Tamir Rice Foundation to assist them in creating a community center in the Near East Side in the memory of Tamir Rice. She and others continue to donate their time to advise the foundation in the creation of this future home. Next year, she'll be leading our Women in Architecture Committee. It is my pleasure to honor one of this year's President's citations to Sandra L. Madison, AIA. The second President's citation goes to a woman who is a member of the board who I can especially count on all year for her insightful reports and contribution at all meetings. Her committee's chapter event in March was wonderful. This citation goes to the current Director of Women of Architecture, Robin Wolf, AIA. This has been a wonderful event. I thank our Design Awards Committee for its great work. I've had a great year, and I look forward to another great year next year. To close us out, I welcome our President-elect, Jody Vanderweel, AIA, to the stage.
Thank you, Chris, and Jody, and Jack Bialowski, FAIA. You know, Jack and I wanted to take a moment tonight to thank Chris for his fantastic year. His patience, his passion, dedication to the chapter have been unsurpassed. And we'd like to present you with a special gift. Actually, we have a couple. One is a monograph of Notre Dame, which is behind the table. And a gift card for you and your lovely wife, Kathleen, to treat yourselves. Thank you. We're very grateful for Chris for his friendship and for his passion for the chapter. And in Chris's tenure as president, we have grown to be the largest we have ever been at 550 members. So congrats to Chris.
Chris, we have two other awards for you tonight that are related for your patience with all of us this year, for your hard work in thoughtfulness and your leadership. This is a St. Christopher's Medal. Protect us, please. And to go along with the medal, just in keeping with Christopher's sainthood, a halo.
Very good. Congratulations to all of the winners tonight. Be sure to reach out and congratulate people. Wish them well. I also want to give a shout out to Robin, Haley, and Sandra. Congratulations, ladies. It's awesome. And then lastly, for the centerpieces, each table has an orchid at the center of the table. Check the back of your chair, and there's a yellow round sticker on the back of somebody's chair. If it's on your chair, you get the orchid. Total chaos. One last thing, guys. Stick around. We have the schematics in the house. They're a local band that was brought together especially for this event, and they have a playlist from Lady Gaga to the Stones all the way to the Kinks. So be sure to stick around and have a drink. Bye.
Don't hand me no lies and keep your hands to yourself.